What's up, Outrage TV? Let's share this link out real quick. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today on a beautiful Monday. Oh, good to be with the Outrage family again. Um, Cooking on the live stream. Let's get it shared out. Find it somewhere on this YouTube page here. It's not even showing me live yet. There we go. Checkmate, climate deniers. That's we're gonna be getting into that. Jerry Brown, the esteemed governor of beautiful California. Okay. Sharing it out on Facebook. Outrage Live. Making me log in because I actually shut down my computer last night. This damn Dell Inspiron is impressive. Got the touchscreen. It was like $250. This thing has lasted years. Because I take care of my things, ladies and gentlemen. Somewhat. Sometimes. Okay. Outrage Cast is live, motherfuckers. Okay. All right. Got that shared out. I don't have a link for Instagram, so fuck it. We'll do that later. All right. What's up, everybody? What's going on? We don't have anybody here yet. Let's populate the list. Everybody's at work. Everybody's hard at work on a Monday. I'm sitting here like the deviant I am. I'm gonna smoke the vape and protest until somebody comes in. There's somebody. Welcome. I know you see my dragon energy. We have one person. One person tuned into the live stream. Was good, man. How you doing? We're going to be talking about The Rock today. I'm confused about The Rock. Just looking at his Instagram. We're going to be talking about the wildfires. Whoever's here, I love you, and share the cast out. Let's get a crowd of outragians in here. We're going to be talking about just the repeating of the NPC, non-player character mantra that the orange man is bad and the orange man is racist. And, you know, evidence doesn't matter. We're just going to keep saying it. And then Hillary running in 2020, speaking of evidence doesn't matter. She got all the empirical evidence she needed in 2016 that it just ain't going to happen. But we're glad to see her trying again, I think. I think here at Outrage TV, we are fully behind a Hillary run in 2020 because that's what we want to see out of the left. Don't change anything. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay. And then we're going to get into a little big picture on the government in general. All right. So let's just get right into it for my one beautiful listener there. I was looking at Instagram this morning, and every picture of that The Rock posts on Instagram or video, it's him like doing these apocalyptic workouts where he's like just he's got giant chains draped over him. He's like pouring in sweat, and he's like lifting impossible amounts of weight. He was doing like hip thrusts with like this giant bar, the weight's like bending the bar. And I'm just wondering to myself, like, yeah, The Rock is like, he's a former, you know, legit athlete, played at University of Miami. You know, he professional wrestler, of course. And but now he's kind of just acting. It's like, why does The Rock work out so much? It just confuses me why you're constantly going to war in the weight room. What are you training for, dude? What is all of that muscle for? Your heart is just in your body like, what the fuck? We gotta pump blood to all of this now? Because you just can't stay out of the weight room. Like, it's basically turned into, like, post wrestling career, it's like his entire identity is like, he's gonna work out harder than you. And he's gonna eat a lot more than you. So, um, it's just like, what do you are you what are you using all that muscle for? Like, on the movie set? Like, are you lifting fucking set pieces around? Are you like moving people's trailers to new locations? Are you like, no need for a stunt helicopter. The Rock will pick anything up that you need and toss it to where it needs to go because he works out every fucking day and eats entire sides of beef. Because, like, for some reason, he just has to cultivate mass to inspire people on Instagram. And it's like, what does that have to do with, like, why are you getting that big? Like, I understand looking good and feeling good from working out, but like, you're not an athlete anymore. You're in show business. Like, what is, you can only play Hercules so many times. Like, why do you have to be this massive? You're not bodybuilding. You're not doing anything athletic. You're just like standing in front of a camera and pretending. So, like, why do you have to be that big? I think what it is partially the reason I work out too is so that I can eat whatever the hell I want. Like, after I go to the gym, like, I spend like an hour at the gym. I usually go super late, and then when I get back, I eat a giant plate of pasta and a big like pint of ice cream. And the only reason I'm going to the gym, well, you get the benefits of looking good, feeling good, and mentally it resets you and stuff. But it's mainly so I can eat that pasta and ice cream. Now, The Rock has legendary cheat meals. You've probably seen on his Instagram. He's got party platters full of sushi that he eats all to himself, and like boxes of pizza and like big, like delicious cookies and shit. I think that's the main reason he's working out. Fuck all that inspiration, and there's no other reason for him to be that big. He just is like, wants to eat a lot more and not get fat. And it's like, it's not that inspiring. It's really just like, you're just working out over and over and eating like 10,000 calories. Like, it's gluttony and narcissism ultimately. So, because like, you're not using all of that muscle for anything. Like, you can only like you can only power fuck a girl so hard. You can only like, what do you need? He's really training for the apocalypse. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's like, maybe he knows all about the Federal Reserve and fiat money and how the system is unsustainable, and he's really training to be a warlord in the apocalyptic world. That maybe that is what's happening with The Rock. I can't see any other reason for working out that hard and eating that much. It just makes me laugh, dude. He's got like these giant fucking chains draped around his neck, talking about like just general inspiration. Like, I don't know, dude. Do something with your muscle, okay? You're just pretending now for a living. And there's obviously some steroids going on there. So don't pretend like it's just all like hashtag hard work. So it's like, I don't know, dude. Anyway, The Rock. We still got the wildfires going on out here in California. There no signs of slowing down, apparently. so many of the beautiful stars and starlets out here have been displaced by the horrible, horrible, ravaging fires. And you know what started the fires? It was the climate deniers. That's what happens when you deny settled science. California goes up in flames, okay? It's on, blood is on your hands, climate deniers. See you out there. You're not convinced by the predictive models, the consensus of scientists. I know that's technically a contradiction, that science isn't about consensus and it's about experiments and confirming experiments and redoing experiments and confirming the data and confirming the hypothesis and all of the scientific method. But we're not concerned with the scientific method, okay? We're concerned about scientists who are funded by the government who agree that despite the climate models not being predictive, they agree there's going to be a catastrophe. So therefore, any catastrophe can be laid at the feet of the climate denier. It's such a like cult-like term, like denier. Like if you deny it, you're it's essentially like a religion. Like you're committing blasphemy if you don't think that the climate models are predictive, and that if you don't think the climate models are predictive, Hurricane Florence was your fault. The flooding in Houston, your fault. The California wildfires, you guessed it, your fault. So like the governor of California, Jerry Brown, came out and said that climate deniers are definitely contributing to the wildfire. Oh, it's the left has become so cult-like. It's just stupid, man. Like, there is no predictive data that shows that despite the carbon dioxide, the graph showing that carbon dioxide emissions are in concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is going up. It is going up, and it is probably does probably have something to do with man-made factors, with all the cars and shit. But what they don't show, they show you that tiny little slice of the graph. What they don't show you is the 100 million year graph. They show you the 100-year graph. They don't show you the 100 million year graph, where like this little blip that we're in right now is dwarfed by all of the higher CO2 concentrations in the past, where dinosaurs seem to be thriving. You know, they didn't need Priuses. They didn't need wind farms. They didn't need solar panels in the Jurassic period. CO2 concentration was hundreds of times higher than it is now. And no catastrophic disasters. It took a giant space rock coming down and blasting the dinosaurs for that party to get broken up. So it's all conjecture, and it's just another way for the government to tax a natural part of life, the emission of carbon dioxide. Additional carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is good for plants. If they're, yeah, somebody's dog just threw up that climate fear mongering is so stupid. That's, you know, your dog's part of the problem, I think. Is your dog a climate denier? Have you showed him the settled science there? Have you showed him Bill Nye interviews on CNN? Huh? Has he listened to Bill Nye or no? Oh, dude. But additional CO2 in the atmosphere is good for plants, because photosynthesis 101, plants live off of carbon dioxide. And so it's not going to magically create some apocalypse that there's additional carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, especially when it's hundreds of times lower than it has been historically. And so it's a total con game that the government is just trying to tax a natural part of the life cycle of the planet. You exhale carbon dioxide, that means you owe Al Gore and Leonardo DiCaprio money. Okay? You got to fuel their private jets, okay? Because they're not cutting their emissions. It's necessary that they be able to travel using fossil fuel. But for you, for the plebeians, no, you're going to have to lower that footprint, plebeian. Lower it down. Bill Nye says so. Don't be a denier. Don't be a denier. You started the fire. Okay? You started the fire. It's your fault that Caitlyn Jenner doesn't have a house now. Okay? It's your fault that the woman of the year, okay, has been displaced. God damn it, can't you just listen to the settled science, please? Dude. Settled science, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that's the reason my hair is thinning, is climate deniers. And we're going to need some tax money to get some hair removed from my face and put on my crown, okay? I need a crown of hair to signify my elitism over the plebeians of this planet that are denying climate change. And I love how they changed it from global warming to climate change. Like, it's just going to get more and more general. Like, soon they're going to accuse you of denying the climate. Are you denying that the climate exists? Pay Al Gore his money. Damn it. How can you deny that the climate exists? Oh, dude. It's such a scam. It's such a scam, dude. And yes, you talk about the polar ice caps. That's a signifier that we're still currently in an ice age. That's the technical definition of what an ice age is when the poles have ice on them. And so we're definitely not catastrophically warming when we still have ice on the poles of the planet. Yeah, pay Al Gore his money. Okay, he needs another summer home. God damn it. Leo needs another private jet, and Bill Nye needs to fund his education programs that teach children about all 82 different genders. So we need funding for that program to teach them about the genders. Teach all the school children about all the genders, and teach them that, there's about to be a climate apocalypse. So, and that's the thing, like, if they really believed that climate change was leading up to some apocalyptic near future, they would not be, like, complaining about police brutality or Donald Trump being quote-unquote racist. That should be the only thing you're talking about. Like, climate change is like 10th on the list of probably even lower on the list of the things the left talks about. If you actually believe the world was ending because of climate change, not global warming anymore, just climate, because climate, world's ending because climate. If you actually believe that should be the only thing you ever talk about. Like, because what the fuck else matters? What does free healthcare and free college matter if the planet is going to implode? It's so disingenuous and fraudulent. It's open-faced fraud. That's what it is. And they want us, that's what the government exists to do. They sign you on to their fraud. We're signing you up to pay for our fraud. Don't it feel good to be a slave? Yeah. Oh, man. So dumb, dude. And I heard this comic that I listen to this podcast all the time. Is one of the best comics in the world. But he was, you know, even smart, sharp people can like be duped by this propaganda somehow. Like people are still repeating the mantra that Trump is a racist. It's just like a foregone conclusion that Donald Trump secretly goes to KKK meetings or something. Like there doesn't have to be any like empirical evidence of him doing anything racist. Like minority unemployment is the lowest it's ever been. He's dated black women in the past. He went to black churches during the campaign and they loved him. And like rappers used to shout Donald Trump out in their songs all the time before he suddenly became racist because he ran against the Democratic Party. And people, these non-player characters out there, I love the NPC meme. These non-player characters just repeat it like it's been programmed in their brain. I'm starting to think people have a microchip in their brain. Like when they vote Democrat, it's something happens, they get taken in some back room and just get microchipped with an inability to process reality. And like, because like, was that the big racist plan for Trump to get in and help all these minorities get employed? The giant racist plan. Give them jobs. Oh, that'll destroy them. What? I guess the better thing to do would just be to sign them all up on welfare and keep them in welfare ghettos and yeah, keep those inner cities under the thumb of the Democratic plantation. That would be. Oh yeah, kill Hillary kissing the Grand Dragon. Oh yeah, what was his name? Blanking on his name, but she like said he was her mentor or some shit. And oh yeah, and Donald, he's so anti what they call him. Everything is just projection from the left because they're pissed that they don't have the minorities under their thumb anymore and they can't control them, because that's the one step back from the just straight up racism that the Southern Democrats represented in like the Civil War. The step back is like with the Lyndon B. Johnson in 1964 with the war against poverty. We'll have those N-words voting Democrat for 50 years. That's LBJ. That's the step back from the direct racism. You have the indirect racism of, oh, they can't do it on their own. They can't succeed on their own. So we need this big giant government program to act as a safety net and a negative incentive for them to actually take personal responsibility and get their own lives together. Oh, they could never handle that on their own. We have to have this big redistribution state to take money from other people and funnel it to these people and fuck the whole incentive system up. And that's where you see these welfare-ridden inner city like crime hellholes. And they're all Democrat run. Chicago, especially the South Side, it's all Democrat run. Baltimore, all Democrat run. Ferguson, Missouri, all Democrat run. It's a negative cycle of a lack of incentive to create actual prosperity, and people just sit on welfare. It breaks families up. It definitely breaks the black family up. The black family was a lot stronger right after the civil rights movement than it is now. Which is like, you would think closer to racism, it would have been harder closer to like actual institutional racism, it would have been harder for the black family to get along. But no, it was a lot stronger back then, and it's disintegrated since then. And the poverty rates haven't moved very much at all for how much like tens of $20 trillion would put into quote unquote ending poverty. And it's not about ending poverty, it's about creating a political system to profit off of the existence of poverty. And so, yeah, it's never going to be ended by government bureaucrats. They're just there to leech onto it and suck the blood out of those communities and keep them voting for the left. And yeah, Dems focus on only a poor black population. Yeah, I mean, there's no institutional racist things happening that prevent you from being successful in black in America. Just not anymore. If you're good at what you do, and you do it consistently, you're going to be rewarded. There's no there's no barriers to that. But it's like just this. I hope they keep doing it. I hope they keep repeating the nonsense that Trump is this racist as the economy just gets better and better, and as you know repeatedly there's zero evidence that he's actually done anything racist in his fucking life. So you know it's the cheapest tactic in the book. The left has always tried to do it because I think it is fundamentally projection. They do fundamentally see blacks as less than. Blacks, they can't get ahead on their own. They can't handle it on their own. They need our help. And it's like, nah, no, they don't need your help. Like, black people are inventive and creative, and I think they can get shit done if you get the government out of their way. That would be the best thing for the black community. Stop giving incentives for having kids out of wedlock and giving people money for being single moms. That's the worst incentive system the black community has ever seen. That perpetuates the single motherhood, the absentee father, and then the kid grows up with a lack of a masculine role model and ends up getting in gangs and getting into criminality because that's what he sees around him, because everybody else is in the same situation in those neighborhoods, and it's just a fucked up cycle. But I really think Trump wants to see prosperity for every person in the country. There's no racial disparity. There's no like racial favoritism. I mean, there's no favoritism in free market capitalism as far as race. Like, if there's a market for what you're selling, you can succeed, and that's what Trump is all about. Giving people an opportunity to succeed. Now, he needs to cut the government spending a lot more, but goddamn, Hillary's running again in 2020. Thankfully, because they literally don't have anybody else. So they got to roll out head wound Hillary again. She's going to be flopping all around the campaign trail, weekend at Hillary's. You remember on the 9/11 memorial? The anniversary of 9/11 in 2016 when, oh man, they wheeled her out and it was like, temperate 70-degree day in New York. So they said she overheated and she straight up passed the fuck out and had to be, caught by Secret Service. And the big joke on the Donald was they chucked her in the van like a side of beef, and they're running the side of beef again in 2020. I think and I'm glad. I'm really glad that they have nobody else. Because Hillary is just, it's a sour message at this point. Nobody wants to hear anything she has to say, and it's just going to be another campaign of Donald Trump is evil because adjectives. And don't look at any of the results. Democrats are stealing elections. Yeah. There definitely probably is some complicity with people in the GOP just playing the controlled opposition. That's why I'm not a Republican. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. No. Yeah. The black single moms. It's a wretched fucking cycle, man. It's this, and it's perpetuated by the welfare system itself. And it's that you got to look deeper than the surface level. People on the left look at that surface level and then they stop thinking about it. Oh, these underprivileged people, and like they have all these terms for underprivileged minorities that just they just don't have a hope of getting their shit together unless we steal money from other people and funnel it to them. That's the only way, you know. It's a fundamental bigotry of low expectations, looking at people as if they can't succeed on their own. So, yeah, I made that point in a bit I was doing on stage one time, and I I was saying, like, you know, the diversity quotas, and like that it kind of goes against the whole thing Martin Luther King talked about: don't judge people by the color of their skin, by the content of their character. Uh, and then I was talking about the bigotry of low expectations, and oh, we just gotta help them out because they can't do it on their own. And this guy in the audience flipped the fuck out and stood up and called me a mouthpiece for the KKK. And apparently he was a boxer or whatever, and he was like shadow boxing in the back of the room, like. And dude, it was ridiculous. I was there with my black girlfriend at the time, and yeah, I was there with my black girlfriend, and the look on his face when I walked out with my girlfriend after he called me a mouthpiece for the KKK. Oh, dude, I should have just misheard him. Mouthpiece for MLK? Oh, of course, dude. That's what I'm talking about in the joke. You have something wrong with MLK? It was a white dude. He was pissed at me for pointing out the bigotry of welfare. Yeah, that's why all the people that try to give genuine opportunity to minorities are labeled with the racist term, because that's how Democrats feel about black people. They don't fundamentally care about if they succeed or not. They just want to be perceived as helping them, to virtue signal that they're helping minorities, and then control them as a voter bloc. And I mean, if black people start to wake up in America and realize that they've been hoodwinked by the Democratic Party, and realize that, yeah, the GOP is no better in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of fake Republicans in there, but the ideas of small government, low taxes, free market capitalism that Trump partially represents, he represents it better than any other fake ass conservative politician up there. If the black community in America starts embracing those ideas of freedom and getting your shit together and making prosperity for yourself and succeeding, instead of making excuses and playing the race card and everything, if they get into that frame of mind, the Democrats are fucked as a party forever. They will never win another election if black people start waking up to the reality of what's been happening with the Democratic Party and the economy, and how these entitlement systems don't benefit anyone except the ruling class, because they get to dole out who gets money and who doesn't, and play favorites, and it's a fucking mess. And yeah, and so I think Trump can get through to him, because I've talked to a lot of black people, and it doesn't take much to get them to come around to the Trump side, because his style of communication is, I mean, he might be the blackest president we've ever had. I mean, Obama, definitely more genetically black than Trump. I mean, hard to argue that. But you look at Obama, and that's the number one that's the number one thing people excuse people make, like, for Barack, is like, oh, he was a statesman. He was a statesman. He sounded so presidential. My name is Barack Obama, and I talk in this tone with everything I say. And if okie dokie, we're gonna give you free healthcare. All right, we're creating a monopoly for the insurance company. Okay, the big banks, they financed my campaign. So when they failed, you better believe I was bailing them out. Like, but Trump has a much more like bombastic way of communicating, you know? He's a little more like a rapper almost, like a rapper cutting a diss track. That's pretty much what his Twitter feed is. He calls people losers. Like Trump is just you know, he's a lot more gangster than Obama was. He'll clap back. Clap right back. Laying down a diss track. Hillary thinks she's gonna beat me. I don't think that's what it's gonna be. Yeah, dude. So glad that Hillary decided to run again. Oh man. I don't know if it's official yet, but we gotta do everything we can to keep Hillary Clinton alive and get her back on that campaign trail. I want to see some more speeches with interrupted by 20 minutes of coughing fits, and I really want to see that, dude. I want to see her pass out again. Head wound Hillary getting rolled out. That's what I want to see, dude. Trump isn't finished with her yet. Trump isn't finished with her yet. She's not going to be satisfied until she actually like is in the public long enough for people to really look at her like past behavior and be like, you know what, you actually did commit some crimes. Like if she would just fade into the background, maybe people could forget about her having the private server with all the classified information that was available to all the foreign powers with any rudimentary hacking skill. Like people were acting like, oh, it's just an email thing. She just messed up. Oops. And it's like the FBI came out and was like, well, she did commit serious crimes, but she didn't mean to. We don't think. I don't know. So she doesn't have her deep state FBI cronies looking over her anymore. So I applaud her coming out in public and trying to be a public official again. Let's drag out that criminal record again, and let's see if we can't actually snag you on some of it. And yeah, dude, let's get those lock her up chants going again. The left was all hysterical about that. Oh, this is authoritarian. He wants to lock up his political opponent. It's kind of just locking up open and shut criminals. Like if she's not criminal based on the email thing, which she is. I mean, what about war crimes for Libya or Benghazi or funding the rebels in Syria when she was Secretary of State? You know, what about all the corruption at the Clinton Foundation? That's a ballsy move to keep coming out and rolling yourself out in public like that. Like she still acts like the political establishment is rock solid and behind her like it was going into 2016. Now it's a little more testy, and we don't have that elven closet weed addict Jeff Sessions in the Attorney General slot anymore. So we'll see if we can actually get some machinery moving there. And Hillary keeps pressing her luck. She's gonna end up in the jailhouse, I think. But yeah, somebody made a good point in the chat that like the people on the GOP side in a lot of instances, aren't any better than the Democrats. I mean, their rhetoric, in theory, sounds better uh, than the Democrats because they talk about free markets and they talk about lowering taxes, but that's the rhino Republicans, the Republicans in name only. It's all a bunch of rhetoric, and then they have the same people funding their campaigns as the Democrats do. And so it just ends up in a bunch of legislation that benefits the people that are financing those campaigns. And with the right, it can even be a little worse sometimes, like with the military industrial complex influence, and making excuses to get us in wars. And I mean, with Obama, that really, like, he was the worst of both worlds because he had the big banks in his pocket, he had the insurance companies in his pocket domestically, and then he's running all this redistribution of wealth and keeping the entitlement systems going, and all of that domestically. And then he also was killing hundreds of civilians with drone strikes, and toppling Gaddafi in Libya, which led to ISIS being able to take control. We basically funded and armed ISIS. Obama and Hillary are the founders of ISIS. People freaked out when Trump said that, but he actually kind of nailed it. But yeah, he was the worst of both worlds, domestically and militarily. Like, it was a just total disaster. Where was I going? Somebody said something I was about to comment on. VP Pence and GOP began fundraising during midterms. I bet they did. I was talking about the GOP can sometimes be just as bad as the Democrats because they're fake and they can be bought. That was one of the best things that people never bring up about Trump, is that he can't be bought. He has all the money in the world, and you can't influence him with money coming in from banks or insurance companies or the military industrial complex. He's just like, he's his own man. And in that way, he's one of a kind as a politician, because you got to have somebody who's literally, made all their own money. And people, when you say that, people are like, well, Trump got $1 million head start from his dad. And it's like, okay, how much money did your parents give you when you were young? Maybe like, let's just say $100. How much money have you turned that into your bank account? Do you have 10 grand in your bank account? Not many people do right now in this economic climate. I blame the climate deniers for my bank account. I blame them. Because if this damn climate wasn't so tumultuous, I could be more financially responsible. I'm just so stressed out about the impending apocalypse. I don't have any deferment of gratification, and I just buy everything I see. We gotta get Al Gore another hot tub. Fuck. He needs another Italian suit. Oh, dude. Al Gore with his sashaying, childbearing hips, collecting all that carbon footprint money. Yes. Al Gore's so gross. And, I thought Bill Nye's worst qualities were when he bullshitted about the things he doesn't know about the climate on big news shows and stuff. And then I saw that thing that came out last year where he was talking about all the different genders and how gender fluid he is. And there's just no solid scientific evidence for the current levels of CO2 in the atmosphere leading to a disaster. There's no precedent for it. There's no experimentation that confirms it. They just have these computer models that are supposedly predictive, and they don't make the algorithms public, but it's the government funded scientists have it figured out. All right? Trust the people with the government money in their pockets. That's the shame, because you want to trust what science is doing. I'm not anti-science in any way. I'm not anti-scientific method, but that's the devilish twist that the government puts on everything. They pervert those incentives, and then it's not about getting science done. It's about producing a desired result that confirms the government thesis on what's happening. And so you don't get authentic science, you get consensus. Oh, it's kind of like how absurd the concept of democracy is in general. 49%, 51% of the country voted to barbecue and eat the other 49%. So the science is settled. You're going to have some grill marks on you. All right? Al Gore's hungry. Okay? He wants a snack. Plebeian snack. Then I read Climate Gate by Ryan Sussman. Yeah. It's just look for the scientific proof. That's what science is about, is having a hypothesis, testing the hypothesis, coming up with a conclusion, coming up with a theory that explains reality, and then continually checking if the theory is confirmed by the empirical data. And that's not what they do with climate. It's not what they do with climate science. They have a conclusion that's predetermined, and they set up computer models that predict it, and then the line of reality goes way off from what they predicted, and then they just agree anyway. Consensus. Consensus is not science, Bill Nye. You fucking charlatan. I loved Bill Nye's show when I was little, though. That guy. But yeah, that's why Trump is such an outlier in the government system, because he can't be bought, and the special interests don't have any sway over Trump. So he's the best case scenario for a politician. But I am a libertarian anarchist, so I go by the non-aggression principle, and taxation is a form of aggression. It does violate the non-aggression principle. And that's how you know that the government isn't going to do anything efficiently or effectively. That's how you know, is because they have to steal your money in order to fund themselves. That's how you know, if you're forced to buy a computer, it's gonna be a piece of shit. I wasn't forced to buy this wonderful Dell Inspiron that I'm working on right now. But it was $250, and it works because I voluntarily chose to buy it, and they voluntarily chose to make it. And they say trickle down economics doesn't work, but 10, 15 years ago, a computer with this capacity would have been $2,000 or more. Now it's $250. So that's how trickle-down economics works when you don't have an industry that's heavily regulated by the government, like the technology industry is probably the most free market, sector of the economy is the technology. And you see over time, things get better, things get cheaper. And the same thing could happen in healthcare or college, but the left wants to socialize those, which means take control of them and tyrannically reign over them and create monopolies, which end up in less choice, higher prices. And once you realize that taxation is theft, you automatically know anything the government does is not going to be efficient, it's not going to be effective. It's a perversion of incentives. Because, like, if you're working a job and your boss has to pay you no matter what, it's like we have to fund the government no matter what. No matter what they do, we have to fund them. At the point of a gun, we have to do it. So if you're working your job and your boss has to pay you, like I used to work a waiter job, right? In Culver City, in a mall. And there were plenty of times that I didn't want to work. And if my boss had to pay me either way, I would not have been working. How good of a job are you going to do if you get paid either way, whether or not you fuck up or whether you do a great job? How good of a job are you going to do? I would have been trying to bang the waitresses because there was some beautiful waitresses. I'm really into black women, and I like at this Olive Garden I was working at. Man, these girls were on them breadsticks and that chicken Alfredo. They had these bodacious bodies. All right, so that was distracting already. That was, it's hard to do my job even when I wasn't getting paid automatically. But if I was getting paid automatically, whether or not my tables liked me or not, my tables would have starved, ladies and gentlemen. I would have been over chatting up LaQuisha in the side station, Man, if I couldn't get fired, I'd be doing anything and everything. That's why the government has a slush fund for sexual assault allegations, just in case, because they're never up to no good at the esteemed government institutions there in the halls of power. So you give somebody that kind of power where that's the ultimate power, is to not have accountability for your salary. And I gotta agree with you there, man. I prefer black women. And there's too many feminist white chicks now, and I don't know what it is. Black women seem to understand common sense a lot better, and they're a lot more fun to argue with. Like there's going to be some conflicts in any relationship, but I like arguing with black women because they can take a joke and they can give one back, and it's kind of a fun, like, sassy thing. But the white chicks is kind of this, like, passive aggressive, like, kind of low level bitchy thing that just comes up. Yeah, I don't know. I have a fundamental distrust of white women. I've had some shaky encounters, So, but fundamentally, I'm just an ass man, And out in California, that's heaven for a person like me. It's heaven for an ass man out here, dude. It's just tremendous, man. It's almost getting car wrecks staring at some of these girls walking down the sidewalk. But my argument was that, if I was getting paid either way at my waiter job, I would have been chatting up big booty beauties all day instead of taking care of my tables. That's just what happens, man. So the government is fundamentally, they're never going to get anything right because the incentives are totally perverted. If you're getting paid either way, you're going to do a shitty job. And that's why it was important to get a businessman like Trump in there, because number one, he's not even taking a presidential salary. You don't see that reported on. He's not taking a dime of presidential salary. He already has his money. he has a mission to go in there and clean it up like he does a business. And that's what he's doing. He's treating it like a business and doing as much as he can. But fundamentally, I think we just got to radically reduce the size of the government, because it's getting out of control, people. That's why it's so hostile, the elections and making everything political, and the wildfires are caused by climate deniers, and that's why, because the government is so big and out of control. Yeah. Socialism, you won't be getting paid at all. Yeah, socialism is about the illusion of helping the underprivileged and really just enriching the elites. Put on my BS on my. Yeah, dude, all the meat and tail. Oh, dude. There's some unbelievable black women out here. That's it's tremendous. But yeah, dude, we just gotta get rid of these climate deniers, man. We just gotta build some kind of concentration camp. Maybe round up the climate deniers and throw them into the fire that they started. I think that would be a fitting punishment for these rotten climate deniers. Round them all up. Dump them in the fire. All right, guys. Your woman doesn't believe all of your BS, does she? Well, I only let her out of captivity when she agrees with my political opinions. I keep her locked up in a closet, and then there's a little slot, and I open it up and insert food sometimes. But then, I offer the food, and I kind of tease her with the food, and then I'm like, is climate change real or not? What do you say? What do you think of Trump? What do you think of Donald Trump? Oh, no food yet. No, not yet. Okay, we need to come to an agreement that Hillary Clinton is evil. Okay, and then, okay, lock her up. No, I secure the doors. What do you think? I'm some kind of amateur, tyrant? I'm not some kind of... I know what I'm doing here, man. Okay? I've studied tyrannical governments. I know how it works. I'm doing my best. I've got the haircut for it. There. Maybe could get rid of some of this beard and just leave that there. Ready for tyranny. Oh, dude. Well, that was all I had to talk about. We're coming up on an hour. Unless you guys have anything else. Yes, the haircut tells it all. It's disregard any of the arguments I'm making. It's all you need to know right here, dude. I'm up to no good. I'm out for power. I want the power. Yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen after Trump. Like, if there's gonna be some kind of new Trumpian party that comes after him, because if the left loses again, they might just, I don't know. They're gonna try to riot in the streets. They're not gonna go out quietly, but unless they, successfully import thousands of third world immigrants, I don't see them legitimately winning any elections. Because Donald Trump that's the main thing he's done, is revealed how insane the left is and how little of an argument they actually have. And how little they they're actually interested in prosperity for all, and how they're just using this narrative they spin to take control of minorities and have this idea that white people are taking advantage of them, and the cultural Marxist narrative. That's all they have, and identity politics just infuriates so many thinking people. I mean, nobody who actually thinks for themselves can vote for the left ever again. Canada sucks for booty watching. That's rough, man. That's rough, man. You gotta see the booty 3 layers deep, dude. You know? You gotta see the booty 3 layers deep. But out in California, we got the sunshine year round, and booties are just out in full blossom. You know? And much like The Rock works out only to eat giant amounts of pizza and cookies. I mean, I don't care about philosophy or comedy or truth or anything like that. I'm only doing all this to attract big booty. There's a slip there. Big booty beauties. This is all a ploy, just to surround myself with voluptuous women. I want to have, like, the Hotline Bling video where Drake has the call center of all the big booty chicks and they're all super fine. That's what I'm trying to establish here in Hollywood. I'm trying to have my own little miniature Hugh Hefner situation in my apartment complex. I'm the assistant manager at my apartment complex, so I show all the vacants, and I'm very selective. Okay, you need a very specific hip to waist ratio, and that needs to go on your application for an apartment. So it's just, you need the right dimensions to qualify. I mean, you make plenty of money, but where's that ass? So yeah, and I don't know if this is the right angle yet, but I'm trying to see if these women are turned on by philosophy and politics. That's the thing. I could have a comedy routine that is a lot more female friendly, but the truth is too important. Damn it. 32, 22, 42. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, dirtweed. You need to get a higher strain of weed, though. Better strain of weed if you want to attract that action there. I know a girl that she's kind of a stripper. Kind of. She's kind of an entrepreneur. She goes to like rich motherfuckers' houses in Calabasas and shakes her ass, gets paid a lot of money, but she smokes entire blunts to herself, which is pretty goddamn hardcore, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty hardcore. And she has music notes and cherries tattooed on her ass, which is, it's commitment. It's commitment to having an ass as an artistic canvas. Yeah, no rides for free. Yeah, dude, you gotta have the right dimensions to qualify. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my bladder is telling me I gotta take a break. We did an hour 3 minutes today. Wonderful hanging out with you. Yeah, I think I'll wind it down for today. Come out and see me at the Fourth Wall Comedy Club in North Hollywood. You want to see some comedy? Some scorching hot, scintillating comedy at the North Hollywood Fourth Wall Comedy Club. What else? Share this out, like it, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to see when I'm going live. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're up on all the podcast apps. So if you just want to listen to the audio, I'm on the podcast apps under Outrage Cast, all one word. Search it up. You'll see the Outrage TV little emblem there. I'm on all the podcast apps if you want to check it out. And I'll be posting clips on Instagram Nick Jordan himself, and then my Facebook, Nick Jordan, and what else? Twitter at I am Nick Jordan. So that's it for the Monday show, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back tomorrow about 1 o'clock. And we'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.